Welcome to Write Your Book in a Flash with Dan Janal, the only podcast where you'll learn how successful people just like you have grown their businesses, expanded their influence, and made more money by writing a book. On each episode, you'll learn the inside secrets to help you create a book that can serve as a powerful marketing tool to skyrocket your business. I'm your host, Dan Janal. I help thought leaders, business executives, and entrepreneurs write their books. To find out more, go to writeyourbookinaflash.com. Now let's welcome today's guest, Alinka Rutkowska. How are you?
Hello, so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm delighted to have you. You are like all over the place. You're on everyone's podcasts, web summits. You're like the number one go-to person for for author marketing and book resources. So I'm delighted that you found time in your busy schedule to meet with us today and to share your wisdom. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dan. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Why don't you tell people a little bit about you and your journey as an author and a book marketer?
Sure. I'm the founder of Leaders Press, where we turn entrepreneurs' book ideas into bestsellers and get them into bookstores. As you can see, I learned my elevator pitch, so I'm really good at explaining what we do really quickly. We're a USA Today, a best-selling press, so we're able to get authors on USA Today bestseller lists, as well as on Amazon lists, which is what we do for everybody. And we've systemized, one of those two. We have a way to put together a book for entrepreneurs in order for them to do that as fast as possible and to put together the best possible book through the 17 steps that we've developed, featured also by Entrepreneur Magazine. And for those who don't find excuses not to do the book, these are the 17 steps that we apply to get it done.
Fantastic. We only have 15 or 20 minutes today, so we can't go through all of those steps. But at the end of our talk, we'll talk about how people can get more in touch with you. And we'll also have that information in our show notes as well, because you have a wealth of information. You've written a number of books on how people can write their books and market their books and learn more about your USA Today bestseller programs as well. So let's dive into a main problem I think a lot of people listening have, and that is that they know they need to write a book, they want to write a book, but they have lots of excuses for not writing a book. What do you tell people who come to you and say, I want to write a book, and I'll just leave it blank. I'm sure there are like 17 buts that you've heard. What are some of the most frequent objections or roadblocks that people have to writing a book?
Right. Well, this is fun. These are a lot of fun. Through working with so many successful entrepreneurs, I've heard many of these time and time again. So let's dive into them. I'll just list them for you, and then we can go through maybe all of them. So, not now. I'm too busy. I don't have that much to say. Who needs another book? I don't have the funds. It's too much work. It takes too long. Finding a publisher is difficult. Nobody ever told me I should write a book. I can't write. So I guess the ones that I hear very often, or most often, are now. I'm waiting for my exit. Or I'm in the transition period, or I just got a new partner on board. I'll do it when I'm retired. To this I say that you'll never be done until you're dead, right? And then it's too late. So thought leader, speaker, and author Brian Tracy has written, do you know how many books? 87.
Wow.
87. What if he waited until he was ready? Well, most of us would have sold much less than we have, because we learned so much through his books. So not now is not a good excuse. When is the best time to plant a tree? Well, the first best time was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. Then another one is, I'm too busy. And, to this I say, what do you mean you're too busy to create a lead generation tool, lead conversion tool that could potentially double your business? And that's where I recommend looking at your to-do list and delegating anything that's not in your genius zone to a team member. And this way we solve the too busy issue. What other ones are there? Well, let's see. It's too much work. Well, that depends. Depends how you go about it. If you decide that you're going to do everything yourself, you're going to learn how to write, how to edit, how to publish, how to design your cover, how to market, well, then it is too much work. But what if you hired experts who did almost everything for you, and all you needed to commit to was 15 hours? Because that's doable. The way we work with authors is take 15 hours to interview them and do all the rest. What else? Nobody ever told me I should publish a book. How's that? Did you know that Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen got 144 rejection letters before publishing Chicken Soup for the Soul? And it then became a New York Times and USA Today bestseller. Not only were they not encouraged, they were actively discouraged 144 times. And the book has sold more than 8 million copies worldwide. And according to USA Today, is one of the top 5 books in the past quarter century that leave a legacy. And then this will be the last one that I'll cover, and it's probably my favorite. I can't write. Well, neither can Stephen Covey, Jack Welch, Lee Iacocca, Donald Trump, John Maxwell, Richard Branson, or Sam Walton, who have all acknowledged that they used ghostwriters to write their best-selling books. Can't write didn't stop them from writing books that have influenced us all. So these are some great objections. And when I'm talking to potential entrepreneurs who want to write a book but are looking for excuses, I'm just waiting for them to pull one of these out so that I can address them.
Well, fantastic. You are the greatest excuse buster I have heard. Those are great examples with wonderful people who really, everyone thinks that Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen just rocketed to fame, but I've been in seminars with Mark, and he told me those stories where he did 5 things a day, every day for years before it really took off. And sometimes that's what it takes to get your book known. You get your books into bookstores. Can you give us a few quick tips for speakers and consultants on how they can get their book into bookstores?
Right. Well, bookstores basically work with distributors. And so we as a publisher have an agreement with one of the traditional distribution chains, which is why we're able to get books into bookstores. So your best bet is to, go to a traditional publishing house, but then that comes with its own pros and cons. The cons being it could take years for you, years of pitching and then years of, project creation. Or you reach out to a publishing house that is not traditional, but has a traditional distribution channel. So partnership with one of the channels, with one of the distributors that are used also by traditional publishers. So that's what we do. Another way to go about it is to independently pitch your book to bookstores. And you can do that. There are a lot of independent bookstores that welcome it. You can also get into the larger bookstore chains. And the key here is to show that you're going to move the book, because they don't want a book that's gathering dust on the bookshelf. They want a book if they can move it. And, it's all about your success being their success being your success. So when you show them that you have a marketing plan and you know how you're going to get the book off the shelves, because that's what they want. They will put your book on the shelves, but they want to make sure that it's going to disappear from the shelves because you're going to be able to get readers inside those doors. So if you're able to do a book signing or do a talk or get your network, your contact into the bookstore to buy the book, then the bookstores will be happy to carry it.
Well, those are great tips. I was actually going to ask you a follow-up question on what authors can do to move their books, and you gave us a couple of great ideas. For a lot of consultants, I tell people to avoid the traditional ways and just send the book to your targeted prospect, because that's what you're really hoping for anyway. Right now, authors are hoping that people see a review or see an article, and they hope you might find their book on Amazon or sticking out on a bookshelf or in an airport bookstore. But if you mail the book directly to your targeted prospect, then you know that they're getting it in their hands. And if you show them that chapter 5 answers their particular question that's keeping them up at night, then you have a much better chance of getting a client. And one client is worth about 10,000 books, in my opinion. But it's nice to have books in distribution as well, because you never know who can pick up your book and then hire you and make you a success, which is really, really cool. You work a lot. One thing I've always admired about you is that you've been able to get authors to promote each other's books. How do you do that?
Well, there's a bunch of ways to get people to promote each other's books, a bunch of collaborations, joint venture partnerships, anthologies. It's all a matter of looking at, we're all in this together and we can all benefit, as opposed to we're all competing against each other. That's why your unique selling proposition is so important. So when what you're offering is compatible to what the others in this space are offering, then you're not considered a threat. You're actually considered to be an asset, because then your colleague or potential competitor can bring you in, invite you to their mastermind, invite you to speak at a webinar, because you're giving value to their audience, something they don't focus on, and you're not taking away clients. You're just adding value and sharing the same target audience with a different offer. So I think it starts with positioning, and once you have that, and you know exactly where you're standing in comparison to the others in your space, then you can start reaching out and come up with some great partnerships.
That's a wonderful, positive attitude. Some consultants want to write their own books, and some consultants like to use anthologies as a way of promoting themselves. Can you talk about some of the benefits of each, especially the benefits of an anthology?
Right. They're two different cookies. So anthologies are great for overall exposure, and if you want to get status, such as USA Today best-selling author status. Depending how you're doing the anthology, there are ways where everybody has to mail so that everybody then gets the status, but it's not guaranteed. And then there are other ways to do it as well. That actually I haven't heard others do it, but we do it. Is we get people into an anthology. We don't require them to mail, but we guarantee bestseller status. And it's really in order to get that authority building status, really. So apart from that, in all the anthologies that I've been part of, I have attracted subscribers and clients through them. So I always ask people how they found me. And, they tell me, well, I heard you speak at this summit. I heard you at this podcast. I heard you at this webinar. I read this book where you wrote a chapter. So whenever you have an opportunity to participate in something like that, and it doesn't take too much of your time, and you know that there will be exposure, do it. Like, Dan, you said that I'm all over the place. Well, that's because when I see that there will be exposure, I say yes. So anthologies are great for that. Then solo books, as I call them, that's your true big business card. That's a true lead generator and lead conversion tool. My book, Outsource Your Book, is the lead generator for our business. And we've had amazing success with it just by the book being on Amazon and being optimized for online sales, and just by hanging out there. And we have our outreach that we do. Like, we do direct outreach because that's what I believe in, just direct response. But we were able to get some amazing clients, including the co-founder of DHL International, because he found our book on Amazon. Inside the book, there was a link to get on our calendar. He did that, got on a call, and we did a book for him. We got it into bookstores, on bookshelves, next to Nobel Prize winners and World Economic Forum speakers. But the only way that could have happened was by him reaching out to us, because there is no officially available email that you can find online. He doesn't have a LinkedIn profile. The email that you might find or guess is managed by his assistant. So there's a bunch of gatekeepers. You'll never get to him. And you might be able to reach out to a lot of people through various social channels or podcasts, webinars, anthologies. An anthology could have done the work, could have done this job too. But basically, when you have a book and a link, this is a way for people otherwise unavailable to you to find you.
Fantastic. As we wrap up here, can you tell us who your perfect client is and how they can get in touch with you?
Mm-hmm. Well, we love working with entrepreneurs who either want to leave a legacy piece, so share their wisdom with the world, immortalize themselves a little bit, after having worked for a bunch of years, they just have so much to share and they feel like they want to give back. So we love putting those stories together and letting the world know about it. Then the second type of book that we do is the lead generation type. So what I just described with Outsource Your Book, this is the type of book that will attract the ideal customer. And it's also a great lead conversion tool. Why? Because once a customer, potential customer, so once a prospect reads that book, they will come to the sales call in a completely different, it will be a completely different call. Because it's no longer tell me what you do or what you can do for me. It's, okay, I know what you can do for me. I just have a few questions about my specific situation. They already come pre-sold, so to speak. So this is a phenomenal way to get people into your world and to be seen as an authority. Authority. It really does work. So these are the type of books that we love putting together for entrepreneurs. And if you find like that, that's the way to go about your book, then I'd love to find out if we're a good fit.
Great. And how can people reach you?
Right. So the best way is to go to leaderspress.com and wait for the annoying pop-up that invites you to grab a free copy of Outsource Your Book. And there you can get both the free ebook and the audiobook for free. So that's the only place where you can get those two versions for readers and for listeners, because I know that there some of you want to listen because you're listening to this. So that's at leaderspress.com.
I love your line about annoying pop-ups, I think. That is so true. Alinka, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Write Your Book in a Flash podcast with Dan Janal, the only podcast that shows you exactly how people just like you have built their businesses by writing a book. If you'd like to write your book but don't know where to start, you can find great information at writeyourbookinaflash.com. If you're ready to take your next step to write the book that can transform your business, I invite you to schedule a free, no-obligation consulting call with me by going to writeyourbookinaflash.com. We'll be back next week with another insightful interview to help you become a top business leader.